Welcome
to Shamba Shape Up.
We have traveled all over East Africa to find hard-working farmers.
We want to celebrate them while giving them the knowledge they need,
so they can adapt and make their farms more productive even while the climate changes.
We want to support them to get better yields and increase their income.
We will see how farmers can benefit from our experts' advice
while learning from each other in so many ways.
Join us on these journeys and share in the farmers' experiences
on the Shamba Shape Up Safari. Shamba Shape Up has been to many parts of the region. Kenya, Uganda.
Welcome
to Shamba Shape Up, Uganda. And Zambia.
Welcome
to Munda Makeover. In our mini safaris, we met very successful farmers and learned quite a lot from them.
We've met struggling farmers too. And that is why we always bring our experts with us, so that we can keep learning together.
We've learned that the more time, money and energy you invest into your shamba, the higher your returns are going to be. Sometimes you really need a bit of help to shape up your shamba.
And that's where we come in.
In crop farming, the first step to successful farming starts with the soil. How do you know your soil can feed and grow what you want to plant?
To understand more, let's go all the way to Chibombo in central Zambia to meet Anastasia. She needs some help in knowing how her soil is doing and what nutrients need adding in order to increase her vegetable yields. So, we called in a fertilizer expert to advise.
As a farmer, Anastasia, the number one thing that you have to put in your mind is you need to understand the soil conditions. If you understand the health of the soil, it will help you to plan.
Of course.
Now, how do you plan when you don't know the soil? Because you cannot know what type of fertilizers you're going to put there, the quantities that you're going to put there, right? The soils, I consider them as a bank for a farmer.
Right.
Okay. So this bank has to be treated with the utmost care.
Of course.
And love.
Yeah.
So in the soil, that's where you put your money.
Yes. Definitely.
So you have to keep the money where it is safe. So you understand the soils. Because in the soils, there are natural nutrients that exist there. You know to say there's enough, maybe nitrogen. For argument's sake, there's also phosphorus or potassium. And then you look at the crop that you want to put there. You know to say my crop needs so much of nitrogen.
Of course.
So it will help you how much nitrogen you're going to put in the field. It's not just to say, oh, we're going to put 10 bags, you're going to put 5 bags. No. You are going to waste your fertilizers or you're going to underfeed your crop. There's also what we call the pH. When the pH is high, even if you put so much fertilizers in there, the fertilizers and the nutrients won't be made available for the crop.
Right.
So you need to understand, how is my soil pH?
You have said I need to understand my soil. And I've never seen someone testing the soil in this area.
Right.
I don't know it.
Okay, at our office we have a department that deals with the soil testing.
Okay.
So with that, it's not a problem. We can easily bring them here. They do the soil sampling and take the soil samples to the laboratory. Those results, they will help you to plan how much fertilizers you're going to use and how much you will spend on your crop.
Makes sense? Let's break it down.
So farmers, we need to understand that every time you plant, the plants use the nutrients in the soil to grow, and when you harvest, you take away those nutrients. With every planting season, more and more is gone, and this needs to be replaced if you want a good harvest. And different crops need different nutrients to grow well. These nutrients can be found in organic and commercial fertilizers. Doing a soil test will show you what nutrients your soil needs so you can avoid spending money on unnecessary fertilizers. It will also show you how much you need to put and when you should put, depending on the crop you are planting. A soil test will help you figure out which nutrients your soil lacks. There's another thing to consider, and that's soil pH. Soil pH tells you whether your soil is acidic or not. Different crops do well in different pH levels. For example, pH 1 to 4 is very acidic, and pH 10 to 14 is very alkaline. Farmers can run into trouble if they keep using the same fertilizer for a long time. It can make the soil too acidic. And when you try to grow crops like maize that require less acidity, they struggle to absorb the nutrients from the soil, and that can lead to crop failure. A soil test will show you clearly the pH of your soil and what you need to do depending on the crop you want to grow. But how do you test your soil? This is how it's done. Gather 10 samples in a zigzag pattern from across the field. Mix them together, then remove a small amount and take it to an agrovet stocking yard of fertilizers. Within 2 to 4 weeks, you will get the results. Depending on the crop you are planting, you will be guided on what fertilizer is needed, how much to use, and most important, when it should be applied.
Wow, very helpful, Kozi. A soil test can also tell you what crops will do well in your farm. Let's come back to Kenya and visit another farmer in Limuru. Mama Alice and her daughter Priska. They were not very happy with their maize harvest. We did a soil test on our shamba, and soon enough, we got her results.
So, what can you tell us about the results?
Your soil has stated that it can support potatoes, it can support beans, it can support grains, and at the same time it can support vegetables. Then after that, to the soil fertility table, which has stated that your pH is high, the organic carbon you have put manure, and the total nitrogen in your farm is adequate. With this soil fertility table, it can now generate a good report that tells you which kind of fertilizer to use to maintain your crop till growth.
Now that we know what nutrients Mama's soil need, we called Beth, a crop expert, to help us understand how to use the soil test results on Mama's shamba so she can get a better maize yield.
So what should she start by doing when you look at the results of the soil tests?
I found out that the soils are acidic. I would recommend that liming should be done to her soil so that she can get good harvest.
So, Ma'am, do you know what lime is?
Actually, I don't know. I hear of lime, but I don't know what it is.
What exactly is lime?
So lime is a chemical which we use to reduce the acidity of the soil. When the soils are acidic, the plant will not be able to take some nutrients from the soil which are important for the crop growth.
If your soil is acidic, you'll need to add lime to it. Do this 2 weeks before the start of the rains. Spread the lime over the ground evenly and using a djembe, mix well with the soil.
We need to put in fully decomposed manure, which we are going to incorporate in the soil after we make the fallows.
Now, Beth, according to the soil test, what fertilizer should Mama be using?
According to the tests, the recommended fertilizer is NPK. You can use 23-23-0.
The expert went on to explain that Mama will need 25 kilograms of fertilizer, NPK 23-23-0 for her quarter acre when planting. This will give the soil enough nitrogen and phosphorus to support her plant's growth.
So, Mama, our expert is here. What other issue did you have when you were planting last season?
Last season, I planted maize and beans, and I only used DAP and manure, animal manure. But the results were not good.
Due to climate change these days, we are recommending or advising farmers to use crops or maize variety which matures faster.
Now, which maize variety do you recommend that Mama should plant, especially in this region?
We have several varieties. We have a hybrid 512, hybrid 513, hybrid 516, hybrid 520. The higher the number, the more the lane it requires.
Our expert went on to explain that the maize variety to use depends on your area and the amount of rain you will expect. For areas like Ndeya, farmers can plant maize varieties like Hybrid 5 series because they receive less rainfall compared to areas such as Trans Nzoia and Uasin Gishu, which receives high amount of rainfall and are advised to plant Hybrid 6 series maize varieties. Get in touch with iShamba to find out the weather and the best variety for your area. Call 0711082606.
So Beth,
Yeah.
what else can Mama plant alongside her maize?
Alongside her maize, she can plant beans.
Okay.
In between 2 rows of maize, you can plant 2 rows of beans. Beans is a cover crop. They stop soil erosion. It has root nodules, which help fix nitrogen. And it makes it available to the plant, so it helps the maize crop.
Thank you so much, Beth. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
So now, Mama, are you ready for hard work? I'm sure you are.
I ate a lot of food in
Yes.
the morning, so I'm ready
You're
for
ready.
any kind of work.
Yes.
Eh.
Good. Let's do this.
Let's see what Beth recommends. When you have a small plot of land, plant maize and beans together. This is called intercropping. Prepare the land and make the soil smooth. Add manure and the recommended fertilizer from the soil test results. Maize rows should be 90 centimeters apart. In between the maize rows, make 2 rows 30 centimeters apart for the beans. The beans should be planted 10 centimeters apart in a row. Mama can now expect a bumper harvest in the coming season.
So, we now know the importance of a soil test and getting the right seed to plant for your area for the best results.
After the break, we shall learn how to improve the quality of our soils by making good quality compost.
We will also learn how to protect these nutrients once they're in the soil.
See you after the break. Welcome back to Shamba Shape Up.
We've learned all about soil testing, using the test results, and how to plant beans and maize together. Now it's time to dive into making quality compost for your soils and learn how to protect these nutrients once in the soil. But first, let's find out what the weather looks like in the coming week. Thank you, Brenda. It's time to join our Shape Up team in Uganda. We're visiting farmer Daudi, a coffee farmer from Mukono in central Uganda.
Get ready to uncover the secrets to healthy soil.
How have you been managing this dung?
What I do, I heap it here from my club, then I take it in the garden.
Madam Robina, I can see you're smiling. Is it a good thing? Are we practicing the right thing?
Generally, it's not ideal.
Okay.
Because as you look at it, you heap it here. First of all, it's not hygienic. A lot of flies will be coming and gathering around here, which is not healthy to your home. At the same time, it is direct the sun that at times it evaporates and some of the nutrients evaporates away. Even at the same time, when it rains, water will just take all the nutrients, especially the nitrogen. And at the same time, when you take it as fresh as it is, you may take it with a lot of heat where it can end up burning your crops. We have the best way of doing this, and I think we can make a compost and try to decompose it in a pit, which is an ideal method.
So, Madam Robina, do you have a place that we can use, or you've observed that we can use?
Yes, yes. I think I can show you where and how we are going to do it.
Okay, you go with Daudi. Me, I'm going to get Joweria and Karis. We need manpower. Okay.
Joweria and I ran as fast as we could, but still found when the team had already begun.
These are different organic material which we are supposed to use. And as you look at them, they are all different colors.
Okay, yes.
We have this brown portion where we have dry matter. They provide us with a lot of carbon. When you go to those green ones, you will find that they give us more of nitrogen. You will see that in the material we have ash, there you will get some good calcium. But when you look at the other real manure, it will provide us with the phosphate, and at the same time, it will give us bacteria, which will break down the whole system, and we get a full compost type of manure. But before you set that compost, there are some critical issues you are supposed to know. The width, it is supposed to be 150 centimeter. When you go down, it is supposed to be between 45 to 30 centimeter. Now, as you can see, these are different materials.
Yes.
When we are laying them down, we lay them in layers. So we have to begin with this type. If you have maize stalks, the better.
Okay.
They will come at the bottom such that they can allow drainage. That is, excess water will be running through and going down.
Okay.
So from there, you go to the brown material. You see, we have this as brown. You can even use banana leaves as brown, or dried leaves.
Okay.
You put this layer of this brown, and on top of them you can put also wood shaving. Then you put it in a layer. After putting those in a layer, you use a watering can and you smear some water in it. Then we bring our manure. Then afterwards, you bring your ash, this ash.
Yes.
Then the last layer you are putting on top, plants with the broad leaf, so long as it is green. So this one will provide nitrogen, which will enrich our compost. After sealing, you will get a long stick and you press it down. When you press it down, it will be a measure to see whether your pit has developed heat inside. Because when you pull it out, you will test it and you will see that it is warm. We have completed filling this one, but it doesn't mean that we are going to dig only one pit.
Dr. Nagai went on to say that a farmer needs 3 pits to make compost. So, Daudi after 3 weeks should move on to the second pit and transfer the contents from the first pit into it. Give it a good mix to aerate the compost. Continue this process, transferring the contents from the second pit to the third pit. Soon enough after the third pit, Daudi will have nutrient-rich compost ready to use on his farm.
Thank you very much, Dr. Robina.
Thank you, Frob. Rich compost really is key to healthy crops. But even as you add compost to your soils, you need to make sure the nutrients don't get lost. How do you do that? Easy. Mulching. Let's go meet Alfred, a maize farmer in Tharaka County, to learn all about it. Our final expert today is Josephat Musenze, an expert in conservation agriculture. Tharaka is generally a hot, dry place, so we've asked Josephat to give us some advice on how to keep moisture in the soil by reducing evaporation. And best of all, it doesn't cost the farmer a single shilling.
Conservation agriculture is a farming where you practice 3 principles. 1, minimum soil disturbance. 2, residue retention. And 3, crop rotation.
So today, what are we concentrating on?
Today we want to demonstrate the residue retention of the crops in the farm.
Why is it very important to have soil cover?
There is no direct heat from the sun.
Why is that important?
Meaning, there is no evaporation. It's very simple. So if there is no evaporation, it means with the minimal rain we have in Tharaka Nithi, the farmer can harvest. But with the direct heat from the sun, there is a lot of evaporation, the soil loses the water. And also above all, the soil also lose the pH value of the soil. It means the humus, the fertility of the soil would not be there.
The soil loses its fertility. All right.
The other thing is when we have the residue in the farm, when it decomposes, there is a lot of humus in the soil. And when there is a lot of humus, the soil is fertile and the soil profile is good. So for today, we want to enforce the issues of the residue by doing it practically with Alfred, so that Alfred now he can understand it and also he can use it also to train other farmers. Because can't remember, you can't give what you don't have.
That is
so he has to understand the principles very clearly. So what we are going to do today is to set a residue demo plot. In this residue demo plot, we measure 2 squares equal. 1 square will have residue, the other one will not have residue. Then on that also we use the same amount of water. We water the same 2 squares with the same amount of water. Then the farmer will see clearly the difference of where there is residue and where there don't have residue.
Wow. All right. So it's a kind of a comparison.
Exactly. And the farmer will now make a decision. Now, this is good, this is not good.
Based on what he's seen.
Exactly.
All right. Seeing is believing. Let's do this.
So first, we'll move the residues.
Can I help?
Now, what we'll do is we'll get 2 squares equal, which is sample now of the farm. In the first square, we will put residues. Still this one.
So, in one plot, we are adding the crop residue and some manure to cover the soil. And in the other plot, we are leaving it open to the sun.
Now, we will use the same amount of water to water the 2 demo plots to see the difference. We are assuming this is rain, which is now rain in these 2 farms.
The soil is being carried by the water.
Yes.
Because it is the surface.
Yes.
In this surface, no running of soil because it is already mulched or covered. Yeah.
After some time, we can see now
the difference
with the solar now we have here in Tharaka. Within a few hours, you will see different.
All right.
From the one with the residue and the one without.
All right. So Josephat and Alfred, I think our work here is done for now.
A few hours have gone by, and it's time to see what's happened to our 2 demo plots. As we scrape away the maize tovers, I think it's clear. The plot on the right that was covered is still looking wet. The one that was uncovered on the left is dry. Now, if we smell the soil, there's a marked difference. The one we covered still smells damp. And if the two samples are compressed in the hand, the covered soil is sticking together, while the uncovered soil is dry and crumbling. It's clear to see that the soil covered with a layer of mulch or crop residue holds water in the soil. But that's not all. Covered soil also helps stop weeds from growing too. So now, we are sure to get a bumper harvest. So, farmers, these are just but some of the tips to follow to ensure your soil is healthy. Join us next week for another episode of
Shamba Shape Up.